Hey, welcome to Baseball 101. Today we have two special guests. I'll try to get through this without laughing because one of them is my son, which is just a goofball. The other one is J.D. Dix, his roommate out with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So thank you guys for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Well, if you want a bed when you get home, you had to do it. So one thing I learned when I signed and went out and was in Scottsdale, sometimes when you get there, some guys get lucky and get good roommates, and some guys get stuck with guys you wouldn't want to really share a room with. So are you guys happy that you ended up in the same room?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, we have our own individual schedules, and we don't really tamper with that, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's good. So I was going to start just a little game to see how well you've gotten to know each other in the last couple months. So we'll see what you've actually been like. All those conversations where you're actually listening. All right. So Ty, we'll go with you first.
I'm answering for him first?
You're answering about JD.
All right.
What would JD say his favorite food would be?
Oh, man. On how much we eat Spinatos, I'm just going to say pizza, but I don't think that's right. Maybe a steak.
JD, what would you go with?
All right. I would say chicken and rice. But when I go to Spinatos, I don't eat pizza, which is just a terrible answer. But I do like a steak, like once a week maybe. But chicken and rice is like 5 days, 6 days a week.
Really?
So
I thought he'd be sick of chicken and rice after eating it every single day.
Yeah, but I eat it every day.
So never mind.
Kind of sick.
I was going to say if he eats every day, he probably likes it. There we go. Yeah. Potatoes. Now we're talking. But JD, what would you say Ty's favorite food would be?
4 cheeseburgers at 8 o'clock at night from McDonald's.
That's fair. That's pretty accurate.
Honestly, he likes food, so like anything, really.
Yeah.
Well,
anything that you eat at night.
Yeah. He's just. I don't know how he's not 225 pounds.
JD, honestly, when he got into high school, he was a $1.18. Like he has had to eat nonstop for 4 years.
Yeah.
The amount of cheeseburgers and stuff it's impressive the amount of calories he's put down. I mean, you see it.
Do you see his bill every month? Like, do you look at his credit card or debit? Like, it's unbelievable. I took a look at it one time and I was like, I would go broke. That would be
that's not true.
Well, I mean, I look at least he's investing into his body, trying to get bigger. He could be spending it on a lot of other things that I saw when I was out there.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Okay, so the food you did okay. Let's go more of a baseball question here for you. JD, for Ty, what would his favorite sunflower seed flavor be?
Sunflower seed.
Do you eat seeds while you're out there? Dill pickle.
I don't usually, but dill pickle is it.
Good call. Does JD eat seeds, Ty?
Yeah, he does. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think what his favorite is. It may, only because we have it the most, or he has them the most, just original. Dill pickle. Gosh, one of the two. Gosh dang it.
Dill pickle for sure.
Wow. Right. So JD's been right about both. Ty, you're 0 for 2.
All right. I was pretty close.
Okay, Ty. Let's try to redeem yourself. A question that's maybe a little bit, hopefully you know the answer. Can you name JD's family members' names? Just his immediate family.
Oh gosh, definitely not.
Davis, okay. Nice. That's all you should know.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all you should. That's all I for sure know.
So Davis is your brother?
Yep.
Okay. JD, then we'll go sibling for Ty. Do you know his sister's name?
Ruby.
Okay. Good Lord, this is not good.
And then Mr. and Mrs. Cissell.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
That does not count. That does not count. You can't say Mr. and Mrs. Cissell as names.
I mean, he is correct, but
right.
Okay, JD, we're gonna move on to this one. You guys, I'm sure, have familiarity with this one. What is Ty's favorite like music genre?
Rap.
Yeah.
Going rap. Ty, can you actually answer this one for JD?
Dude, I know what it is, but I don't even know what type of music it is. It's like
can you name an artist?
probably not, to be honest with you.
Come on. What's the one?
Oh, Ty.
Jack Johnson
There
is
it
one
is.
of them.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking of.
This is sad, Ty. This is okay.
Okay, wow. No.
Let's focus. Last question. I'm just curious if you're guessing here about social media. If we're looking at Instagram, who has more followers on Instagram?
I would say you.
I think JD.
You think JD?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I have like 3,000.
Oh, JD.
JD.
So does that mean JD? GD, does that mean you're
So we got
verified?
it wrong.
I am verified.
Oh,
But
Ty?
I got on the app one day and it was just verified.
Good. That's what a first round pick gets right here.
Right there. First round pick. Okay, so we've established that Ty's not real good at listening or paying attention to details. That's here, Ty. I'll give you one I think you know. What kind of bat does JD swing?
Homewood.
Yep. Boom.
Come on now.
Ty, do you know what, or Ty, JD, do you know what type Ty swings?
Old Hickory.
Okay, good. We'll go with you guys got that right, and that's baseball wise, you're good. So moving on to the draft stuff. Good Lord, we got to the draft. So I don't know if you guys even know these numbers. I'm going to throw them out there for people unfamiliar with the draft. Just there's not a lot of people drafted. So this year in the 2024 draft, there were 615 players taken. Of those 615 players, there was 113 high school players taken. Of those, there's only 87 high school players that signed. So in the entire nation of roughly almost 500,000 high school players, only 87 are currently playing professional baseball. And to break it down further, both of you guys were drafted as shortstops. There's only 22 high school shortstops that were drafted and signed. That's it. So, I mean, those numbers are crazy low. So for you guys to be sitting where you are is a great accomplishment. Which brings me to the rankings, the pre-draft rankings and all that stuff. I'm just going to throw them out there for you because people that watch a lot of the high school guys, I know sometimes you get caught up in the rankings and what PBR, PG, everyone kind of thinks. So this is for JD. JD, according to PBR, was the 81st best high school player. PG had you at 95. MLB had you ranked at 75. So let's figure out how accurate they were. You were picked 35th overall. Not just high school, 35th overall, college and high school. You were the 11th high school player taken. So obviously those don't really match up with what all those pre-draft things we're talking about. For Ty, you were the 55th high school player taken, or sorry, not taken. PBR had you as the 55th high school player, but you were listed as an outfielder. You weren't even listed as a shortstop.
What?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if JD knew that, but yes, he was actually, PBR had him projected as an outfielder. JD, did you know he even played outfield?
I knew he liked outfield. I didn't know he played outfield.
Yeah, long ago in a former life. Perfect Game had you 146 among high school, and then MLB had you ranked 234. And you were taken 132 overall, and you were the 39th high school player taken. So obviously some of the experts in kind of the draft weren't real there. So just when you guys were in high school and going through that process, I'll start with JD. Like from freshman year kind of going through, like how aware were you of kind of the rankings from PBR, PG, all that kind of stuff?
Obviously, I mean, it was prevalent in like social media and stuff, so you can't go away from that. But never did I really like see it and be like, wow, I'm that good. I mean, obviously, I knew there was other high school players, and a lot can change within the 4 years of high school. I mean, you see Tytus, you've seen pictures of him,
Yeah,
15, little scrawny little kid.
exactly.
So no, a lot can change in the 4 years. It doesn't matter. Also, there's peaks, and in this game there's peaks and lows here, and you can have a low for a year and get ranked 250th, and you can have one really good tournament and get ranked 30th best, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're playing in high school, there's a lot of just how can you do in those 4 games during your tournament, which is really stupid. And you know, like coming to this now that there's 130 games, 160 games, whatever it is, you can have those highs and lows, and you just got to have the highs be longer than the lows, and I think that's how you get to move on. So, yeah.
Yeah. So Ty, obviously, I know a little bit about the rankings, but how much did that play into kind of what motivation, or did you pay much attention to them?
I mean, yeah, kind of like JD said, you see them everywhere, so it's kind of hard not to just like be aware of them at least. But at the end of the day, they don't mean anything. No organization or college team recruiting you is going to be like, all right, this kid's 5th in the state or 100th in the country or whatever the case may be. So just finding a way to succeed on the baseball field and then just carrying that for as long as you can, like JD was saying, is the biggest thing. Not worrying about that, but definitely being aware, and you can't really get away from it.
No, it's definitely out there, and I'm not saying the rankings are a bad thing. It is good to kind of see where you stack up, and definitely it's a motivator if there's other people in front of you and you want to pursue them. That's great. But as far as no, the colleges aren't looking at the rankings being like, oh, well, I'm going to send you a scholarship because PBR said this about you or PG said this about you. Like, it's not how we're – and definitely the Arizona Diamondbacks did not draft you based on someone else's opinion. So We'll get to that. And that's – so on the draft side, I mean, I think that's the thing that a lot of people – obviously, I told you there's only 22 high school shortstops that signed this year, so you guys have experience that other people haven't had. So just to be able to share – like the first part, going back to last summer and just this last year leading up to the draft, there's a lot of things that, I mean, I saw and a lot of things I'm sure both of you experienced that it's you can't even prepare for because you don't even know what it's going to look like. But going back to kind of the summer, like last summer, like for JD, like when did it become a reality that like the draft was really an option or something that could happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going to these tournaments in Iowa and seeing 25, 30 scouts at your games is kind of like 2 hours away from everywhere. So, I mean, I would say that was the real thing that I saw, and just understanding that the games don't really matter. It's how you kind of bounce back from a strikeout versus a guy that's throwing 75. You know, they're watching that more than you're watching the home runs that you hit.
So going back to last summer, you had scouts like last summer already looking. That many scouts looking at you last summer?
Yeah, I would say most. Yeah.
And that's what obviously both of you guys, and that's what's interesting. Both of your paths are very different. Like Ty's path and your path, they're different paths, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. I mean, you both are sitting on the same bed talking to us from the same organization. And that's what I think for players, some are going to mature later, some are going to get bigger later, some are going to be seen later. It's different for everyone. So, like, Ty, you want to talk about when you really kind of got the draft became a reality of, like, this could happen for you?
Yeah, so it was after the summer, I put on like 25 pounds, and then I showed up at the Super 60, and that's when a lot of the first time scouts actually started taking interest in me. And then the first couple of games of the spring were super crazy, and then just the teams that were most interested kept coming out, and then Diamondbacks were the one that chose me. But it definitely a different process. Last summer I had no MLB scouts out there like looking at me or anything because I was just so undersized. So just putting the 25 pounds on and then showing up at the Super 60, a different baseball player pretty much was the biggest thing.
Yeah. JD, did you? I don't think you did. You didn't go to the Super 60, did you?
No. I was hurt. I was injured. I was rehabbing back from my shoulder.
So when did you hurt your shoulder?
Like 2.5 years ago, I dislocated it, and then it kind of I wanted to play through it, so I played through the whole summer with it, and then finally in the fall I got it fixed, and then rehabbed it back to this spring.
So how close is it back to 100%?
It's pretty close now. It's like it's supposedly a year, 100%, but I'm finally throwing a little bit better. But obviously, dude, I got here and we started throwing every day, and all these Dominicans' arms, like they're underestimated. Like, they're so good. All of them. Like that's the key thing. We got here, and like people are like, oh yeah, there's a whole nother baseball world.
Yeah.
Like we're top 100 here, but in the Dominican Venezuelan world, like we're not even like
it's different.
It's a different world.
It's just how they carry themselves is different. And how they look on the baseball field is different. Yeah.
So like you think you're up against these like college and high school guys here? Nah, you're up against the Dominicans and Venezuelans because I don't know what percentage of them in MLB is, but it's got to be high.
And that's their arm action, their hands are different.
Oh,
like watching the ball come out of their hands is impressive.
All of their arms, and they're bulletproof too. Like they throw every single day, and they throw at 100% intent, and they can throw it like that 365 days.
And it's interesting because you do look at the rankings here, but then you get there and realize most of the people that you're surrounded by are not from high school or college here. And that's, like 5%
you're not from.
Yeah. No. When I got to the Giants, over 50% of the organization was not from the U.S. It was all Latin, Dominican, and it is a shocking thing because it was just a surprise. You expect to get there and it look one way, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Which of you?
It's funny to see like your competition change so much so quickly. Like, obviously knew there was Dominicans, but I didn't know they were this good. And then that's your competition for the next 6 years, trying to get to the big leagues and then staying there.
So whose Spanish is better between you two?
I don't know.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's probably pretty similar. Yeah.
So this has nothing to do with this, but
yeah, it's not great.
No, it definitely.
Yeah,
and their Spanish is so different. They speak so fast, and it's like impossible to understand.
And especially like the Dominican players, they're like some of the stuff that's just like regular like Spanish. It's like a completely different like word and like for like slang for them. So
That's
like they have like a whole different language, but
It didn't take long for me. I learned the cuss words the quickest because I could find them within the context of if they fouled the ball off their foot. I'm like, I know what word I would say there, so that must be the similar word. But yeah, to actually speak to them, it was a struggle. So do you guys have class?
It's more you just ask questions.
Yeah, you just gotta like you sound stupid like 95% of the time, but like you just gotta like try to talk.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Going back to the spring, I know we got sidetracked with Spanish, but so both of you, I saw Ty, and I know just from JD talking about last summer, going into the high school season, you had all these scouts. I'm sure JD had the same in-home visits. Then you're dealing with your advisor. You're dealing with all these things, and then you're trying to perform. Like, how hard was it to balance all those distractions while you're trying to play a team sport? Ty, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was pretty hard, to be honest. Like, it's just like a completely different process than I've ever been through. So, like, constantly every day having to hit with a different scout or going up pregame or during school hitting with scouts or at a practice or whatever the case may be. There's always eyes on you, like, no matter what you do. And especially, like, out here, like, if there's, like, someone out here, they're watching because everyone here was drafted. So they're watching everyone, but like it's so like focused on you whenever the scouts are there, whatever the case may be. During the high school season, it was definitely a little harder to perform until you got used to it. But yeah, it was difficult to say the least.
JD, how was your spring?
It was so interesting because I started hitting a week before the season with my shoulder. So it was 1 week before where I started hitting like off a live, or not off a live, like off a live arm. So EP. And then I just jumped in straight into the games. Didn't even play the field. I was just DHing. It's tough to play in front of eyes. like college eyes, and then it's even harder to do pro guys because that's your ultimate dream is to get there, and you don't want to mess that up as much as you can. So when it's so hard to balance the fun of the game versus what you really want, and obviously when it's not going well, it's way harder.
So. Yeah, I know that, and I saw it this spring with Ty. Like he would strike out or something would happen, and they'd be over at the dugout watching the reaction in the dugout. So there wasn't even space to just let frustration out. You constantly had to be showing, hey, I'm okay, when things don't always go okay in baseball. Most of the time they don't. So that you're under a microscope, and then everyone else is kind of, are you okay over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so that part's tough. So we'll fast forward. You get through the spring. You're talking to all these different teams. You're trying to balance, figure that out. JD, did you go to the combine?
Yeah, I did go to the combine. That was the first time I played shortstop this year.
Really?
So, yeah.
So did you play in the game or just the workouts?
I played in the game. I worked. I did it all. I did everything. Yeah. That was like the first time I got cleared to play shortstop. So I played shortstop for the only 2 innings, and that was my whole shortstop for the year until I got here.
So were you a little worried? Like, the combine is
the whole year was just a nervous. Like, I don't even know. It was just. I was trying to get in the field. Like, I was not ready. The shoulder didn't feel good. It didn't even feel good swinging. And I was like, oh, like I really don't want to go to school. Going to school would suck. But obviously, I love Wake Forest. I love the people over there. So it wouldn't have been the worst thing. But I was trying because since freshman year, I was like, I wanted to go be a professional baseball player out of high school. So I was like, does this whole year, like, did I wait too long to get my surgery? Like, it was, but it all worked out. You know?
Yeah, you're trying to balance. Obviously, your dream is to get drafted, and that's what you're pursuing. But you're also trying to rehab your arm so that you can actually have a future. The frustration with that's got to be. But then to show up at the combine, and how'd your arm feel doing that? Like, that's a lot of pressure to go out there in that setting and throw for the first time.
It was really the first time that I was starting to get a little comfortable at shortstop. So, it was a sense of normalcy there. So it was the first sense of normalcy in the first year and a half that I had a short. So I was like, well, I had confidence in myself there, and then that leads to hitting, and that leads to other things too. So it worked out for the best.
And Ty, obviously you went to the combine. How was that for you? You didn't play in the game, but you did all the workouts. A little different environments, and the interviews. I'm sure both of you did, but what were the interviews and all that like?
Yeah, I just did the athletic testing and stuff, but the people there every guy there was just super talented, college and high school, so it was a super cool environment. But the interviews it was really nothing like I've ever done before. Just 6-7 guys, just very important guys too, right in front of your face, and you're on the spot for 95% of the questions or all the questions. So just being ready to answer whatever. And
so I'm curious, you went to the draft, you guys did all the things there. Leaving the draft combine, what team did you think would take you?
I thought the Diamondbacks, honestly, just because that was a team kind of from the Super 60 that had the most interest, but that's for me.
Yeah. The Diamondbacks were out there. I think there was a couple picks where it was right where the pick was and the money. So, but it was definitely a short window. There was not that many teams I feel that fit perfectly.
Yeah.
But the Diamondbacks, one of them. So.
Oh, I'm glad the Diamondbacks took both of you. So.
Yeah. No, me too.
So that draft day. JD, you went 35th overall, so you went day one. So what were you doing? What did you do on day one of the draft? Who were you with? Where did you get that phone call? Kind of, what was that experience like?
Yeah, day one was I was at Wake Forest, so I was in an Airbnb. My dad flew down and my girlfriend flew down too, and we were in an Airbnb, chilling. It might have been the longest first round in the world. So it was like 1 through 30. I didn't hear anything, and I knew like the Diamondbacks had 2 picks, and the other picks were coming up like 40 through 50, where I was like slotted to go a little bit more, and so I was like, obviously I wanted to hear something 1 through 30, but obviously I wanted to at least get clarification on what they're thinking. But obviously the teams, like the Diamondbacks, are worried about pick 1, so they're not worried about 32 or 31 and 35. So I don't hear anything, and then it might have been 2 minutes before pick 33, the Diamondbacks called and were like, "Hey, we're going to pick you at 35." So it was a matter of maybe 2 minutes between the first call from my agent and the pick call, and it was a very quick 2 minutes. And you can't prepare for that. Like, it was something like, holy, like that's crazy.
I mean, and that's you've waited your whole life for that phone call. So
yeah, no, exactly.
So I know you said, Ty, you want to talk about when you got that phone call. I mean, the timing and all that.
Yeah, that was probably the craziest day of my life and the best day of my life. But I was kind of just like, I was watching like the whole first day of the draft and stuff. Wasn't really expecting anything in the early second days. Kind of where I expected phone calls that morning before the draft. And my agent, I like was texting with him and stuff, and he was like, "We really haven't heard much. You may drop down further than we thought." And I was like, "Oh shoot!" Well, it's like then you start like freaking out a little bit while you're trying to like stay calm. And just like enjoy everything, but it's really, really hard to when you don't hear anything at all. And then I was playing ping pong, just chilling in my basement with some friends and stuff. And then my mom was like, "He's calling," so I went outside, and then he was like, "Diamondbacks want you at whatever pick for this much." And then before I even got, because I just told him to take the best offer, and that luckily it worked out with the Diamondbacks. And before I even got off the phone, it was called on the screen. So. Yeah, a little different, a little stressful for me, but definitely a crazy day.
And that's the part that it goes so quick, but when you're waiting for that phone call, it takes forever.
So miniature. Can't see his frozen. Can't see his face.
Oh, okay. There, we can hear you now. I couldn't. You were frozen.
Okay, you back now? We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get the phone call, and then you want either one of you, I'm sure, is similar. But from the time that you got that phone call to the time you had to leave and go sign out in Phoenix, how much time did they give you, and like, what'd that look like?
I think I was drafted on a Monday. I think I was drafted on Monday, the second day, and then we left Friday, or I left Friday. So like 4 or 5 days, and we're out there, and then we started minicamp Monday, and then games the week after that. So it was a pretty quick turnaround, but you kind of have to be expecting that, like whenever you get the call and say your goodbyes and stuff. So
yeah, it's a quick transition from, hey, I don't know if I'm getting drafted, to a week later you're in Scottsdale with a roommate that you've never talked to.
Yeah, I think I DM'd you.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Hey, I think we're rooming." I honestly, I kind of thought he was like pretty. I was like looking through his profile. I was I think this kid's like kind of. He just kind of looks like a jerk, and like, I was like, he looks a little weird. So
Yeah. What word did you tell me like a week ago?
Oh, that he was like a.
Yeah.
I thought he was just very like, but
yeah, that's well.
I kind of took offense because like I don't feel like my Instagram's not like that, like, but like, man.
No, he's not.
Jump into conclusions.
He's a good roommate.
Well, I'm glad he's a good roommate. Maybe you should learn more about him based on our earlier conversation.
I know about him, just not those specific questions.
Okay. So you're out there now, and this is, for those that don't know, the draft used to happen the beginning of June. Like, I was drafted June 3rd, and then after we would leave, we would go to the rookie league, and it would carry us 6 to 8 weeks until late July. they've switched the draft now to middle of July to line up with the All-Star game. The problem is the rookie league now ends. So they've created this bridge league. You guys want to explain kind of what, or JD, let's go with you. What's the bridge league actually do, and what's the structure?
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. There's no stats whatsoever, so you can't look up us and know what we're hitting or how many errors we've made. So it's awesome just to go out there and play baseball. Because I haven't done that in probably, I don't even know how long, ever. Yeah. Maybe like since I was like 12 or something. I don't know. And even then, you probably could look me up on Game Changer and find something about me. But yeah, I don't know. But it's awesome. You go out there and you play 3 times a week. I've also never played, honestly, high school, but you don't have so much downtime in between each game to like focus on something else. So the 3 games a week, 3 practices a week structure is awesome to get you into the games and not fry you out.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. We talk about development on here a lot, and it's interesting. The first thing they do with you guys is put you in a situation where stats don't matter. It's the experience and allowing you to kind of organically figure things out without the pressure of, I'm hitting 150. I've had 4 errors. Like, those things don't matter when you're trying to develop in the best player you can be. So I think this structure is awesome for you guys. I think it's beneficial in a lot of ways, especially throwing you in with Dominican players and college players, and it takes some of that pressure off. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of kind of how you're doing, and I'm sure it's different than the success you've had in high school and summer, but it is nice to know that there's freedom in just going out and worrying about getting better. So, Ty, for you, like, what's a typical day from the time you get up to kind of get through the baseball, what's a typical day look like for you guys right now?
Yeah, usually the vans are around, like, we get picked up around 7 a.m., anywhere from like 7 to 8. It kind of depends on the day, but usually around 7. We get to the field, eat breakfast. If we had a game the day before, we'll do game review, just kind of go through some stuff, and then weight room for 45 minutes, and then either base running, and then defense and cages, and then the game, or just base running, defense and cages, and then just eat lunch and call it a day. But that's kind of like a normal day right now. Yeah.
So you guys are getting back to the hotel 1, 2 in the afternoon, then you have the rest of the day just hanging out?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, so you have a lot of downtime to get to know your roommates.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to flip the screen right now, he's playing Minecraft right now. So
if I could videotape you 90% of your day, you'd be watching Psych. I mean,
That's what I didn't ask.
No shame though. Like, there's no shame in Psych. What a great TV show. But he eats and watches Psych and eats, and it's unbelievable. Like, he has to be putting down at least 8,000 calories a day.
It does not surprise me at all. JD, how much do you weigh?
195. I've gained quite a bit since I've been here.
Oh, Ty rubbing off on you? I mean, he feeding you cheeseburgers?
I don't know how this dude gains so much weight.
I don't know if my metabolism has just stopped or something, but like I used to like not be able to gain weight, and when I got here, 12 pounds, 10 pounds.
That's crazy.
There was like a video of me hitting yesterday, and there was about 3 or 4 people that texted me. It was like, "Holy shit, you look big."
Fat.
Like, no, not fat, not fat.
I'm just kidding. He's not fat. He's just
big,
strong,
muscular, strong.
Learn from it.
Well, it's tough to, especially in Arizona. The heat's real. That whole dry heat thing. 110 degrees is hot. So it's tough to put on weight when you're constantly sweating, and it's 115 degrees on the field. So
you would
it's
think
impressive.
so, but
yeah, you would think so, but you pound electrolytes, you pound water, boom, and not cheeseburgers and chicken and rice.
Nutrition 101. So
I'm saying, yeah.
So you guys talked a little bit about it, but I'm curious, like, you went from high school, you got the draft, you show up there. Like, what's the biggest surprise from being in that setting? Is there something that stands out, like, I was not expecting this?
I guess just I mean, you can't really prepare for like the environment that like always hearing like Spanish.
Yeah.
The weather, just like how you go about your day. You don't have any school anymore, so it's just baseball, and then you have nothing else to do. You don't have to like worry about I have homework or like literally anything else besides for baseball and phone calls with your people, and that's pretty much your responsibilities here.
So just, JD, what would you say biggest surprise you've seen since you got there?
I think that just you're a professional. You have to treat everything like you're a professional baseball player. Whether that's like sleeping, eating, like you prepare just to play baseball, nothing else.
Yeah. So what's been the most?
It's awesome.
It is. Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed my time. Hopefully, you guys get to do it a lot longer than I did. But what's been the most difficult part? Obviously, it's great to be there and you learn things and like you get to meet wonderful people. But what's been the most difficult aspect of being there?
For me, learning it, like I've never really had to fail as much as I've failed here. So like learning how to fail and like not let that really dictate like the next at bat or how you play in the field or you off the field, and just like learning that's part of the process and like learning how to move on from that and keep showing up to work the next day and like continuing to put in the work.
JD, what do you think?
I would say I hate talking on the phone, texting people.
100%.
So, like keeping communication and relationships like as a top priority it's really it's like mentally draining, but just you got to do it.
It's way harder than you think.
It's unbelievable. And like I've been like away from my family for most of my life, and it's never been this hard.
It is a different. You have to be intentional and try to figure out how to balance that because it's people, and obviously, like we were saying, like very few people are in your situation, so everyone wants to know what's going on. Everyone wants to be like, "Oh, I talked to him today," or "How'd he do today?" Like it's, and they all care about you, but it is a whole different thing you've never had to experience. So I understand that. I mean, Ty, you were talking a little bit about handling failure. I mean, the professional level thing that I saw real quick, the talent gap between, hey, here's a first-round guy and here's a 10th-round guy. The talent gap is really, really small. Like, It's not even, like people want to think about, oh, well, I was a first-rounder, I was a 6th, I was a 10th, I was a 15th. The difference between first, second, and 16th is so small that it's tough to tell for most people. So when the talent gap shrinks, then what do you have to do to kind of separate yourself? Because you can't just like most of your lives, both of you athletically have been able to go out and just basically do what you want because you're talented. But when the talent gap shrinks that much, how do you set yourself apart now?
I think for me, like how intentional can you be like with your work? Like even you can be the most talented guy here, and then when you're in the cages or when you're fielding, just like kind of going through it. And it's really easy to do that when you do it every single day here. In the heat, and it's you're tired and you're hot and you want to go back to the hotel and do whatever. So being like super intentional like with the time you have and like really focusing, and then also like trying to find little things that like set you apart just like throughout the day, how good of a teammate you can be, just like how you treat everyone around you, and stuff like that. So just finding the little details and just doing something that others won't really.
JD, you agree? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, we've played with a lot of big leaguers in the past 2 months, and a lot of people like to say, like, oh, it's physical. Oh, it's how many pounds you weigh. It's really not. Like, Moreno probably weighs 150 pounds. 160. Like, he doesn't, like, it's not, like, how physical you are in the game. It's what other things you bring. Like, they split the plate so well in half. Like Christian Walker only swings at inside pitches because he knows that he can't get beat inside, so he won't. And it's just those little things that make you a pro. And obviously, it's so hard to do, and so that's why they're making millions and millions of dollars doing it. And I think just finding ways to separate yourself, just finding ways to minimize your losses and how bad those losses are.
And I would also say, like, I think one of the bigger like differences like between like a guy here like big leaguers and like guys like higher than us right now is just like consistently level. Like the guys in the big league right now, like guys can do what they're doing, just not as consistently. So finding ways to, and it kind of goes back to like being able to fail and just like not really worrying about it, because like those guys, they'll go 0 for 3 one day, and the next game they'll go 3 for 3 with 2 bombs. So it's like not worrying about your last at bat and just being consistent as possible.
And you get into the mental side of the game real quick, because the physical side, you guys are developed, you have the potential, but it's making sure you're strong enough mentally that you can allow yourself to physically perform. Because if you're constantly going back to your last at bat, your last error, your last failure, you're not going to be able to make it. I mean, that's always been, to me, the thing at the professional level is your ability to fail. If you can fail and move forward, you can have success at that level. But if you don't have the ability to fail well, you're not going to make it at the professional level. Like, that was the quickest thing I saw when I got out there, was like the guys that knew how to handle a bad day and the next day show up and it didn't affect them were the guys that were able to move up quickly. And the guys that kind of held on to the failure, they got stuck and they just couldn't get over it. And that's, so being around like those big league guys, is it been encouraging to see like the talent gap between where they are and where you are, like not that different, is it?
It's not the talent for sure. I mean, it's how fast can you get to like you're back to your 100% confidence. I mean, that's what I saw. I mean, like Alec Thomas came in and he like was not doing good in the big leagues, came down here and just started raking. Back at AAA, started raking. I mean, stuff happens to you. It's going to go down. You're not going to be 100% every single day. And just not worry about those days and worry about how can I get back to feeling good, feeling confident, all that stuff.
And I would also say, like, not trying to get, like, super, super high when you're doing really good, and, like, not trying to, like, whenever you're doing bad, not just trying to stay, like, kind of in the middle. And, like, whenever you succeed, it's just like a normal day. That's what's supposed to happen. Whenever you fail, that's like a normal day in baseball. You're going to fail. So just, like, realizing that, and, like, whether you go 0 for 3 one day or 3 for 3, just kind of trying to have the same mindset regardless of your results.
Yeah. And me and Ty have talked a little bit about, I know on the schedule early on, I don't know if they still do it, but they were going like, you had a time each day of mindfulness, like training. Like, obviously that's not something that's colleges may be doing it now, but high school players really haven't been exposed to that too much. Like, can you explain did they explain why they're doing it, or what you do in those like mindfulness sessions?
Yeah, it's just reflect. I think the biggest thing was just reflecting on like the good, the bad. Like, it doesn't always need to be reflecting on the good. You can reflect on the bad, see yourself doing good and bad things, and accepting that you're going to do both. I think that was just clearing your mind for the day, understanding that it's not always going to be 100% good, and that's good.
Yeah. I think just like giving yourself a full like clear mind, ready for, like, to go in the day and get to work. So it was very beneficial. But we started off doing that a lot, and then some guys still do it, not as much now, because honestly we have breakfast around the same time. So there's not like a whole bunch of time, and that's that everyone likes to eat breakfast in the morning. So
we've established that you and eating is taking a priority over pretty much everything else.
Pretty much.
Not judging, nothing wrong with it. But so a couple other things, last things on here, kind of. We'll skip down. So if you were kind of summing up the last 2 months, you guys been there 2 months. You're getting ready to come home this week, probably. Well, JD's going to be out there a little bit longer, but the Bridge League is over. Your last game Saturday. So looking back at this 2 months, is there one lesson that you've learned, kind of the biggest lesson that this 2 months has taught you that you're going to take home and be like, okay, I can move forward with this now?
Sure. Well, one, we don't play Saturday anymore. I forgot to tell you that. Or Thursday. Both the games got canceled. But one lesson that I'd say is just like, for me, I had to like completely like redefine like what success means to me, and because originally, like in high school or any other like place in summer ball or whatever, success could be like just results on the field, but you learn really quickly here that you're not always going to have results on the field here. So like learning how to be successful, like, because not every day that you don't have results, it just can't be a failure of a day. So learning like how you go about your work and like your attention to detail when you're doing infielding stuff, like your throwing and all that stuff, like can make a successful day, and how good of a teammate you are when you're over 3 with 2Ks, or how you run out to the field whenever you're over 2 with 2Ks. So it's finding ways to find success outside of results on the field has been probably the biggest lesson for me.
JD, biggest lesson?
I would say playing for the right reasons, the biggest part. Over the past 3 years, I think I've learned that. And obviously, when you get here, it's hard to go out there the same every single day. But understanding that you have an ultimate goal, that you have to be grateful with whatever circumstance you have, because it's not going to go well, but when it is, it's going to be fun, and just being grateful for the opportunities you have with the great people around you. We came in here, we have Bo and you, really good friends now. The people around us are hitting coaches. Everybody, we love them. We love getting in there and working out. Just being grateful for everything that has been given to you. And then the other thing is just igniting that confidence and just trying to feed that every single day. Whether you frickin' get up there in the plate and you dig your cleated and frickin', say that you're going to mess the pitcher up or something. But that's another thing, is just having a lot of intent, and that good intent is going to boost your confidence into the way, because as you said, there's not much of a talent gap. There's a lot of it's 90% mental when you get here.
Absolutely. It is a mental game, and the higher you go, you see it, and it's challenging. But last question for you. Over the last year that you've gone through kind of this draft process, when you think back, what's the best memory you have? The one that just makes you smile, that you go back to, you've had some great experiences from just all these different things. If there's one that you're like, man, that moment, I will never forget. Ty, you want to go first?
For me, it was getting the phone call from my agent. That was that I was getting drafted. That was probably the greatest moment of my life. So that's what I would say.
JD?
Yeah, I think just after it all said and done, a week after, I think I was just talking to my dad, and it was just every emotion that you could possibly have, just holy, it's your shoulders just drop. You've been trying to grab this for 4 years, and I've done it most with my dad, so talking with him and through it all, and he's done a lot of sports in his day and been pretty successful at it too, and just finally realizing that you've made the first step to whatever the ultimate goal that you have, just knowing that you fulfilled that and worked for it and constantly overcome challenges, and that just finally dropping those shoulders, really nice.
And I would say it also makes all the late nights and early mornings and whatever the struggles all worth it. So it's the coolest feeling. Literally ever since you're a kid, it's what you dream of, getting that phone call and getting drafted, and then the other one is obviously playing an actual MLB game. So the first step to that is getting drafted, and that was definitely my greatest memory.
And that's the stuff that I think for both of you guys, and it's something I say all the time, and Ty's heard me say it 1,000 times, probably more than that. But look, we're either going to deal with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You guys have put in the hours, you've put in you guys, and that's the cool part for family, is I saw what Ty went through. For JD, your dad's seen it, and that's what, for you guys to know the sacrifices you made to be sitting there, you never will have to look back and go, I wonder if I could have done more. You guys have accomplished so much that is special. And obviously, both of you have goals there further on, and I would love to be out there and watch you guys in a big league game someday. That would be awesome to do. So congratulations to both of you. That's what you've done so far is awesome, and your future is going to be even better, and I can't wait to watch for both of you guys. But I appreciate you coming on, spending a little time. JD, it was nice to actually meet you, see you a little bit. So, hold on. I got one more question for you.
I want to know, since they've now faced, big league type pitching, what do they think of what Shohei Ohtani did?
Okay, you guys I got one more for you. Actually, Brian has one more for you, but you guys have obviously seen professional pitching to this point. You've seen some good ones. You've seen some MLB guys like come back and on rehab assignment. I know you guys have faced those guys. When you see like what Ohtani did the other day, going like 6 for 6, and what he's able to do at that level, does it make you appreciate him more, those level of hitters even more now that you've seen what these type of pitchers can do?
Yeah, and I also think it like makes you realize like being out here like although the talent gap isn't like that big for a lot of like the majority of people here.
Yeah,
there are some really big outliers, and like obviously that is one of them. Like Shohei's insane, so
yeah,
like those guys, there are definitely some guys that are outliers from that talent gap, but yeah.
So Shohei also has 0 for 6 days too.
Yes.
Which
he does.
Which is the bigger thing, and you know, like seeing that he has an 0 for 6 day, and then you know, seeing the next day might be into 6 for 6 day, is maybe the most more incredible than him actually doing 6 for 6 with 3 bombs.
It's interesting that, yeah, it was ridiculous, and that's what I'm saying. Now that you've been able to see the pitching, you've been able to see what goes on. It's interesting that both of you appreciate Shohei's mental side as much as the talent. Like how hard it is to fail and still step up the next day and be able to have days that he does. And Ty, you were correct. There are some just freaks that are different. Like the talent gap's small for most of them, but then you get that 1% of Pujols or Trout or Ohtani, or those guys are, they're that good, and that's why they're Hall of Famers. And hopefully someday there's someone doing a podcast being like, wow, that JD guy, he's an outlier. He's that good. Or Ty, either one, but
no, just JD.
just JD. Just remember, I get an autograph when you're that one guy, and everyone's like, wow, did you see what JD did?
There's actually, never mind, they're not here anymore, but there's a lot of them. Oh,
yeah. Anyway, well, thank you guys for coming on. You guys, thanks for watching out there. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to kind of what the life is like at the professional level, and kind of the challenges and all the celebrations and all that, just kind of what happens when you get drafted and go through it. So appreciate you guys taking time to do it, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.